Howdy friends, music lovers, Wes here checking in with another episode of the Vinyl Survivor. This is where I talk about 5 albums pulled from my inbox. These are albums were pretty new to my ears, if not completely new, and I sort of talk about what I thought of each one and let you know whether they are going to be something I'm going to be keeping in my collection or something that I just really didn't enjoy for one reason or another and going to be getting rid of. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. First album we have here is the 6th album from the Canadian band Rush. This is titled Hemispheres from 1978. Rush is sort of a more modern period of progressive rock band. This particular album is very much a progressive rock album. The whole first side is one track called Cygnus X1. Book 2, Hemispheres, is title track. It's an 18-minute long track broken up into different sections but meant to be all one piece of music. Definitely very progressive, a lot of different kinds of changes, and the second side of this album has 3 tracks: Circumstances, The Trees, and La Via Strangiato, which is a completely instrumental track, their first completely instrumental track, I believe. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the standout track on this album. Just an incredible instrumental track. Definitely a standout piece on this album. The side 1, Hemispheres suite, I guess you could call it, is interesting. It's fun. It's a 20-minute piece. Very enjoyable if you're into prog or this modern prog, or if you like Rush. Interesting piece. This is on the Mercury Records label, and they do have a custom label with the brains on it. Mastering at Master Disc. I don't see an inscription of who actually did the mastering on this. Sound quality is pretty good on this one, as far as most Rush albums are. They're really well recorded and sounds pretty good. So yeah, Rush Hemispheres going to be going in the collection. An enjoyable album, particularly, as I said, the last track, La Via Strangiato, really cool instrumental. It's almost 10 minutes long too, so it's a nice long progressive track, just completely instrumental, no vocals. Okay, next thing is an album from an artist I really enjoy. I didn't think I was going to like this just because it's the 80s and it's jazz, and jazz in the 80s could be really bad. And I thought I was really not going to like this, and it turns out I actually like this quite a bit. This is Grover Washington Jr.'s Winelight. As I said, 1982 on this one. Features the really big hit, Just the Two of Us, sung by Bill Withers. Huge hit song. I guess part of the reason I like this more than I thought I would is just hearing it on a real stereo and just actually sitting down and listening to it. I really enjoyed it. If this were sort of on just some small speakers in the ceiling of a store, it's going to have that 80s smooth jazz sort of cheesy sound to it. But on a good stereo, it's a lot more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be, and it's really funky and really cool. And I really love how expressive Grover Washington Jr.'s playing is, and I just get a sense of where he's coming from when he plays, and he does a really good job on this album. So this was a good find. This was a pickup from the library sale. You got a blue dot here, so I believe that's 75 cents is what I paid for this. There's Grover there playing next to the soundboard, and then just some liner notes. Nice color inner sleeve, so that's nice. Don't usually get that in the 80s. This is on the Elektra Red label. And let's see here, SRC and the Dead Wax, so Specialty Records, and that's about all. But yeah, if you tend to like Grover Washington Jr., don't shy away from this one. It's a worthwhile listen, completely enjoyable, and something that is more than what you think it's going to be, I think. So I definitely enjoyed this one a lot. So this one, Winelight by Grover Washington Jr., also going to be going in the collection. Okay, the next thing we have to talk about is an album from Led Zeppelin. This is titled Physical Graffiti. Had to think about that for a second. I always want to call this one Houses of the Holy, even though I know it's not. It's for some reason the cover makes me think Houses of the Holy. I don't know why. This was a double album released in 1975. Of course, very, very well-known album, as most Led Zeppelin albums are. And this is a thrift store copy. It's splitting apart up here. Pretty neat inner sleeves. I like how these are all different, and you can sort of change up which ones show through the windows. Those are all always cool. And splitting again, this is definitely not a Robert Z edition here. There's the second one there, and then there's also an insert here, which is kind of odd. It looks like it should be like a poster or something because it folds open, but there's nothing on the inside. You do get sort of a track listing and a little bit of liner notes and stuff on each one. I mean, this has like In My Time of Dying, Kashmir, what else is on here? The Wanton Song. Just a classic album from Led Zeppelin. Unfortunately, this copy, as I said, it's a thrift store copy, and the vinyl itself, it's not good. It has, I don't know if it's going to show up here. There's scratches all over it, and it's just not something that I can put into my collection. It's not worth listening to at this point. I mean, it's much better to listen to the CD of this rather than a bad pressing of this. So it's another Led Zeppelin album that's sort of a letdown. I bought it. I was at a thrift store. I bought it just because it's Led Zeppelin and you just gotta grab it. But as with most of these, it's just turns out to be not worth keeping. So unfortunately, that's another Led Zeppelin album that's not gonna make it. And I have all these on CD already, so that's gonna have to do. I think it's very rare to find a good condition Led Zeppelin album that's reasonably priced these days. Okay, moving on. I've been talking about and exploring the Flaming Lips a lot in recent months and in the past year, I would say. And this is their record store day release, the Black Friday record store day. This is titled the Peace Sword, and what this consists of, this is an AP 6-track EP that features the song Peace Sword, Open Your Heart, which was used for the end credits on the movie Ender's Game. And so these are tracks they recorded at the same time they were working on that track, and it definitely has a very sci-fi, fuzzy, Flaming Lips sort of sound to it. So it's a lot like The Terror and some of their more modern sounds. Very fuzzy, spacey, a lot of electronics, a lot of just effects, I guess you could say. Just really cool stuff. So if you like the more recent Flaming Lips releases, this EP is really good. And the standout track on this one is the final track called Assassin Beetle, The Dream is Ending. A really cool track. Definitely check it out. Did include an insert with this one with some more of the artwork, and then you get the lyrics on the back here, and then custom labels again to match the artwork. Just black vinyl on this one. Not sure where it was pressed, but it sounds pretty good. It's a nice quiet piece of vinyl. Good sounding stuff, and these are still readily available. If you like the Flaming Lips, even though this was a Black Friday record store day release, I see these in record stores here and there and online still. So, it wasn't a terribly popular thing, I guess, or just they've been repressing it. I don't know. Either way, if you're a Flaming Lips fan, this is not something to be missed. It's an interesting piece and some really cool music and some unique music, and ties into the Ender's Game movie a bit, but it sort of expands on what they did for that movie. So, Flaming Lips Peace Sword EP, really cool piece. Absolutely going to be keeping this in my collection, and I'm glad I picked it up. Okay, the last album we have to talk about today is something that's been sort of bouncing around in my rotation area, where I pull things to play that are sort of fresh and new and want to listen to more than once, and sort of been bouncing around in there, been listening to it for the past 6 months at this point. I think it's been since this album came out. But this is the album last year from Arcade Fire titled Reflektor, the follow-up to the Suburbs. Still not totally sure how I feel about this album. I do like parts of it. It's an enjoyable album. It's interesting. It's different. I don't think I like it as well as I like the Suburbs or the Funeral. Those are two, maybe, their first album was good and the second album was sort of down a little bit, and then this third album was good, and then maybe they're going to have that kind of trend to them. But overall, this is, still a good album, an enjoyable album. The title track is excellent. This album sort of falls apart in the middle, I think. The beginning is really strong, and the ending is very strong, but in the middle, it just sort of seems to lose me for some reason. As I said, the ending is really strong. 2 albums set here. Side D, the last side, is excellent in my opinion. That really brings things back together for me. Really cool metallic sleeves and printing on all these pieces here with lyrics on the inner sleeves here. The first LP has white labels. This is on black vinyl, pretty heavy vinyl. I don't know if it's 180 gram, but it's pretty heavy. Again, a nice clean pressing. Sounds really good. The inner sleeve for LP2 has some photographs here, and then the lyrics for LP2 on black, and then the labels for LP2 are black as well. And this has Sterling RJ in the dead wax, so that's Ray Janos at Sterling in New York who did the mastering on this. So yeah, Arcade Fire Reflektor from 2013, a good album, an album I was sort of looking forward to all last year, and maybe just the hype overran the quality on this one. An enjoyable album, not their best, but if you're an Arcade Fire fan, you probably have this one. If not, start off with The Funeral or Suburbs or something like that. So that's going to wrap up another episode of The Vinyl Survivor. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I got a lot more here I need to get to. I need to just sit down and knock out a bunch of these at once. I got a lot of stuff I've listened to and just haven't had the chance to talk about yet. I need to get them off the floor and filed away. So hopefully there'll be a lot more of these episodes coming soon. I thank you for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. That lets me know you enjoy what I'm doing. And thanks again for watching. See you again soon. Cheers.